Hello everyone and welcome to the UkeStuff channel here on YouTube. My name is Chris Russell. I am a music teacher, currently elementary music teacher, and this is my ukulele stuff channel. So today we're looking at the Ortega Hydra. It's kind of a crazy thing. Double ukulele on the bottom with two tenor necks. One is traditional G, C, E, A. The other is traditional 8-string ukulele. So you've got high G, low G, high C, low C, and then double choruses of E and A both. So this ukulele came out in January of 2019. It's currently January of 2020. And a number of people played it, YouTube personalities and so forth, that were out at NAMM, and which NAMM happens in about a week or so as I'm recording this video. And I saw it and I thought I would really like that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, it's unique, it's kind of fun. But the other one is actually I have a couple 8 strings, and when I bring an 8 string, I also tend to bring a 4 string. So I was also thinking that there might be some practicality in it where I could actually travel with one ukulele instead of 2. So this becomes a question of, is it worth it? Does it meet that? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. So I've already showed you the tuning process. It does have a pickup and kind of an interesting selector bottom or button down here, or switch. In the center, it senses the pickup from both their piezo pickups there. One position the other way is going to pick up that one, or if I flip it the other way, it's going to pick up that one. But it kind of has the ability to pick up one or the other as you're playing it. Came with a strap button down here, and of course the jack right there, or the output jack. And then this button I put in myself after thinking about where exactly I wanted it to go. So let's talk about the instrument. First of all, it was really delayed, and apparently, now this is only what I heard, and I was talking with the Ortega reps this summer. I found out that Summer NAMM had a day where they let educators basically come free, actually open to the public. So I made it down there, and actually I registered as an educator, so I didn't even have to register, but I did, and I had a chance to visit with Ortega at their booth, because as soon as I saw this, I called up the one place that I know that carries Ortega as a reputable dealer, and that's the Uke Republic. So I immediately contacted Mike at the Uke Republic and said, can I get one of those? And he put me on the waiting list. So fast forward, nothing for months and months. And then I would check in with Uke Republic occasionally. Mike would say they're still not available. So when I was at Summer NAMM, and I think that was in July, I met up with the Ortega people, and they said that pretty much their entire first batch they didn't like, and they sent them back, and we're going to get them out later. So in November, it finally came into stock, and as true to my word, I ordered it and bought it, and it came, and this is what you're looking at. I did an unboxing of this quite a while ago now. So I've had it for a while. I've taken it to school a few times. The kids think it's crazy. They love seeing it, and which is kind of the reaction that I thought it would bring. And I think in general, it's got kind of some awe-inspiringness about it. Now, the negative side of it is it's $400, which for a laminate ukulele with a pickup, little on the expensive side, even though it has 2 necks. To put it another way, I'm pretty sure that I could buy another company's 8-string and a 4-string and cases with pickups probably for really close to that too. So there's not really any cost savings for buying the 2-in-1, and if anything, there might be a little bit of a cost penalty. So there you go. Now, and in that tells you that the price, probably the value of what you're getting, especially as it's a laminate in that $400 range, is probably less than what you're paying for. So you're paying more for the sort of carnival act of the double neck ukulele double sound hole ukulele than you are for the actual ukulele components themselves. It's clear that a lot of thought went into this. There's a comfort edge here for your arm when you're playing. And to be honest, that's the only ukulele that I have that has a pure comfort edge like that. It does look kind of weird as this kind of tortoiseshell binding disappears here and then just picks back up over there. So it looks like somebody kind of went crazy with a sander. But I mean, it's well done. It's smooth. It's really nice. The headstocks look fantastic. Kids don't quite understand. They get confused, like why are there 8 strings? It's, you tell them that, you know, it kind of doubles some notes, and they just don't quite get it. But you have this really cool headstock, the great tuners and everything. The build quality is generally pretty good. The rosettes might be overkill to me. You know, I just don't know why. But the thing that really is the kicker is it's an open pore finish that doesn't really feel that good in the hands, at least in my opinion. And you just kind of go, why? You know, when there are so many other choices, why the Ovancol wood as a laminate instead of something else? Now, to be clear, there's a brand new version of this announced for 2020 that's made out of another wood. It might be an ebony sort of surface, whatever, and it has some more scrolling on the fretboards. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same ukulele, just with some different tone woods, a little more adornment. That'll be for sale in 2020. Some other things that they've done is you have side markers, and we'll talk about that later, on both necks. Both necks have a sort of enclosed, finished sides, but even so, the frets kind of stick out of it. So if you're going to have a bound fretboard like they do all the way around, I don't know why you wouldn't kind of bury your frets in there a little bit so they didn't stick out at the end. And for the record, just like with Luna, every Ortega I've seen out in the wild has sharp fret ends. And I recently had a discussion with a person from a company, and they thought that fret ends weren't such a big deal. And they're probably right. But the issue that I have is when you have a beginner, and this probably isn't a beginner instrument, right? So that makes it maybe even more of a concern. But when you have a beginner, they don't know about sharp fret ends or what to do with that at all. So maybe for an advanced player that's not afraid to put down a line of masking tape and sand and then get a fret edge sanding tool and to tweak their ukulele frets, maybe that's not a big deal. But for the beginner that doesn't know what they're doing, it can just add more pain, just like high action and so forth. So, that's kind of it. I do worry with the build quality about this switch because it sticks up. And in the case that it comes in, it's a pretty nice case. There's no protection for the switch. So I don't see how over time that switch doesn't get subjected to more than it should. I would have liked to actually have just seen a selection knob, I think, instead of a flip switch. I think that would make me feel easier with that in the case because it doesn't come with a hard case. So anyway, the build quality is good. It's a good build quality. Weird things like you can really see the edge of the laminate. There's no attempt to even put a stain there. You just kind of get greeted with white, which is just awkward. So the walnut fretboard and bridge, just you're in a $400 ukulele at this point. You would think that there maybe be another step up in wood that you could use for the fretboards, that sort of thing that might actually even work better with the Ovancol. But that's kind of it. So basically, it's good. It's a good build quality, but there's a couple decisions there where you just go, I don't know why they did that when they did so much other stuff on the ukulele. So in terms of appearance, it's a looker, isn't it? I mean, it's not perfect, and this isn't stunning. It almost looks a little bit like dark zebra wood, and not to be mean about that. There is kind of that bump on the back, which is kind of a neat effect that goes well with the tortoiseshell, because you got kind of like a turtle bump on the back there. And you've got kind of the attention to the details, so you can kind of separate where the two ukuleles go, and it helps get your hand in there for it's like a cutout. on the high notes, otherwise you'd have a hard time reaching in. So that's a really nice design cue. So appearance-wise, overall, it looks pretty good. What has always attracted my eye since I bought it is this scar on the fretboard. And I haven't tried working it out yet. I haven't done anything or anything. It kind of looks like a burn mark. So I'll see down the road if I can do something to lessen that. But that was the one blemish when I bought it that instantly jumped out at me, and I went, oh, that's not the greatest. But that's okay too, right? So anyway, as you're looking at this appearance, I think it's pretty attractive. It has a lot of appointments, everything from the sound holes that look kind of like an inlay. The problem with that, again, the rosette, is that there's nothing else on the ukulele that matches. The Ortega logo doesn't match. It doesn't match the turtle edge binding on it. So the choice of that double rosette is just like, I don't know why they did that. But otherwise, it really is, you take this and play it, you're going to get attention, because that's what this instrument is all about. As for availability, you can order them now from a number of dealers, including the Uke Republic, and I believe they can get them. Now, in terms of playability, the action at the nut on both is higher than I would like, and I'll talk about that at length here in a second or two, but it makes it a little bit harder to play those partial or complete bar chords that you'd like to play, because the action's a little high. So someday, when I take these strings off and when I change it, I'm going to bring down the action at both of these. And I should have made clear to the Uke Republic of what I was looking for action at the first fret, and I didn't do that when I ordered it. I know better now. So if you're going to buy a ukulele from some of these dealers, make sure you have the discussion of what you're looking for at the action at the first fret. So I'll put that fault on mine for not specifying it. The open pour finish is a little rough in terms of playability, and that does distract you when it feels a little gritty. I mean, it makes it easy to hold, and then the other thing is with these fret edges getting, and as the year goes on here, and as we have winter where I'm recording this, the fret ends are starting to come out more and more and more. I wonder, when you take the time to make an edge-bound fretboard, why you don't bury those frets in a way so that they don't stick out. Unknown. So those things make it harder to play. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard, almost 38 millimeter nut that is pretty comfortably to play overall. So in terms of playability, middle of the road. It's not fantastic. This is nice if you're playing high, but I'll just say middle of the road, right? So in terms of sound, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. It's not as loud as it could be. I mean, it's not quiet, but it isn't as loud. And it's also kind of a very generic tone with one other aspect, which is, if you can hear it, it has an odd sustain to it, almost like a chorus effect, because when you play one neck, the other neck vibrates sympathetically, and you get this weird kind of chorus effect. So if you change chords, the other chord still continues. Listen to it. So you have all those notes playing. It's kind of like being in a cathedral and singing and hearing all the different tones at one time. So in terms of sound quality, those are issues. So it's not a fantastic tone. You've got that weird sustain, and it's not as loud as it could be and should be really for a tenor with this scale of body to resonate. So yeah, kind of a disappointment in that category. So let's go over the actual specifics rather than my subjective thoughts about it. You've got two twin tenor necks. Each is 16.875 inches from the nut to the saddle. So that's nice. They're both exactly the same scale. There are 18 frets on each side. Looks like 14 to the body, if that matters to you. There are side marker dots on it, so those are there. and the body is a merged double bout, as if you were having blurry vision and we're looking at one ukulele. The soundboard is laminated Ovancol. The back and sides are laminated Ovancol. The fretboard is walnut. The bridge is walnut. It's a flat fretboard, so no radius there. The nut and saddle appear to be plastic. They could be tusk as well. And it is an uncompensated, non-compensated saddle, just straight across. The finish is open pour, so it's kind of a flat finish, and it's just not my favorite. It kind of gives you a dog hair. Maybe you like that. It's just not my thing. I don't like that much. The overall length, if you go from the tip of the farthest headstock to the center of the ukulele, it's 28.5 inches, and it's hefty. It's 2 pounds, 11.2 ounces. So it carries almost the weight of 2 full ukuleles in one. So you would hope that you'd save some of that weight in the ukulele, but you don't. It's top heavy, so you can see that if you hold it in the middle, it's top heavy, and that's not the greatest. The headstock is rear facing, and the action is above 0.5 millimeters. And again, I don't know if it came that way because they did adjust the 12th to be 2.75 millimeters, which is, at the 12th fret on both. So I don't know if that's how they come or if the Uke Republic set it to where it's at, but I would have liked, again, the action up here a little bit lower, and I'll do that someday. Now, when we talk about the space between the strings, it depends on whether you're talking about the GCEA or the 8-string. So on the GCEA, the space is 9.78 millimeters between the strings. With the neck shape, it feels pretty good in my hands, very playable. I just played a Magic Fluke that had a different shaped neck with similar spacing, and that neck made it harder to play. Although it was only a 35, it's strange. Same spacing on a 35 millimeter nut versus a 38. So maybe just the width of that spacing too, the shape of the neck. It's what some people call a generic C shape, but it's comfortable. I don't mind that. The neck isn't as open pore as the rest of the body, so it feels a little smoother. And then when you get to the 8-string, the space between the frets at the first fret is only 6.37 millimeters, which is because you have less space between the two sets of strings. So I guess it makes sense. So G to A on the GCEA ukulele is 30.90, so almost 31 millimeters. And up on the 8-string, it's a little wider, 31.37 millimeters. So the depth at the 3rd fret on the GCA is 20.97, and it's deeper on the 8-string. Probably give it some extra space at 23.46 millimeters. So you almost have 3 more millimeters of thickness, but it doesn't feel too bad to play it. But that reverb is just kind of crazy. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about. You do get the embedded tuner, which is really nice when tuning an 8-string. I just watched Barry Maz talk about not liking these on Got a Ukulele. He was reviewing a Cordoba, and he was saying how he doesn't like the hole in it. But in this case, that's kind of a nice addition there. You don't really have much tone control here. You don't have any effects, but that tuner is really nice. And it helps you if you don't bring a tuner with you. And then the other thing that it does come with is the case here, and I'll show you the case. The case is pretty nice. It's just a giant square case, and in it you have one good-sized pocket, and then inside the case, pretty good padding. And up here where the headstock goes, so you can't scratch, so you can't rip up with the fuzziness down here. And then 2 Velcro things that lock in each neck as you travel with it. But again, nothing really special there to protect that switch for selecting it. So with that in mind, and it does come with a couple back straps. It doesn't come with a hook. It's really real nice. and a pretty good padded handle that does a pretty good job of carrying it. So, I mean, obviously, with something like this that you're spending $400 on, you're going to want a decent case for it. So, thankfully, they do give you a pretty nice, soft case for it. Now, before I go to my summary statement, the other thing I'd like to talk about is just the 8-string aspect of it. I kind of like playing with 8 strings. I've got a few, and I just want to make a point here real quick. So this is, again, a laminate ukulele, and you've got, again, sympathetic vibrations going on with the other set of strings you don't play. But here's the 8-string sound. And you have an odd reverb slash sort of sustain because of that extra chorus of strings. Now, I brought my other European, incidentally, Baton Rouge 8-string. It is also tenor scale, and it is also laminate, little more resonant and much less expensive. And I think a better sound. So without picking on the Ortega too much, you go out and buy a couple Baton Rouges, I think, and be in the $400 range without, necessarily having to have the double neck thing. So I don't know. I've really been struggling with doing this review because it's coming to the realization that while I like the ukulele, I'm going to keep the ukulele, it's also not the greatest ukulele. And I hope, that there are going to be some people that love it or are going to be upset at me. And it is fun. It is unique. It is going to draw attention. I get all that. But at the same time, if we're honest, compared to, for example, the Baton Rouge I just played with the 8-string, it's not the greatest. So, and you know what? It's my own money that I spent on it, so I think that's fair for me to say. And if you bought one and you feel differently, go ahead with your own opinion. That's great. So, again, I've got a number of 8 strings already. I was hoping for a good solution to not have to bring 2 ukuleles to an event, but because of this sustain, I think I'd almost always have to bring at least another 4-string with me, even in bringing this, because that echo would get to me after a while. There are some great features here. The case is nice. There's some really good thought put into this, but it's not really great sounding. And again, with the setup, it's not the greatest for me to play. And that's really important when you get to an 8-string. I do like the comfort edge. I do like the tuner that's included in the electronics, but the Ovancol is uninspiring to me. The open pour is not to my real liking, and I think in some ways it's a neat idea that could be a little cheaper and, believe it or not, carried out a little better somehow. Again, I'm not a luthier, so I can't tell you how to make it, but all I can tell you is that it's a little disappointing. So, what rank would I give it? Well, I rate ukuleles on the basis of 1 or 0 to 5 ukuleles. And I have, over the last year or so, given a few 5s, and I think nothing less than like a 2.5. I'm just going to rate this as a 3. It's not awful. It's not the worst thing I've ever played, but I've got a lot of ukuleles that I would reach for first. And in fact, even as I take this to school or on days that I choose an ukulele to bring to school, which is every day, I choose a different one or something like that. Every day when I bring it or I choose a ukulele, this one isn't the first one that I want to grab. So that really tells you something. So hopefully that helps you if you're looking at the Hydra. Neat idea, fun, little pricey, and probably not getting what you'd really hope for in terms of sound and value for it. Again, not badly constructed, some really neat features across the board, but again, that doesn't, just because something has neat features and it's built well, doesn't necessarily mean that it sounds well or plays all that well either. So, thanks for watching the channel. We'll have more content for you in the future, and we'll catch you next time.